Pythagoras' secret teachings concerning the human soul, ancient Greek philosophy. I'm translating from a Greek article for you. If you look without seeing, or if you hear without hearing, or understand without understanding, my speech is in vain. Take into account, O newcomer, this truth. There is nothing hidden that cannot be discovered, and if the heart desires and the will persists, and if the researcher is tireless and courageous, get to know yourself and get to know the universe and God, so look for and discover. He worked harder for these things, he worked diligently, and you have to love it because these will put you on the path of divine virtue. But before you approach a mission, decide to fulfill it and invoke God's help to fulfill it. Fear is the deadliest adversary of knowledge, and superstition is the mother of fear. The ignorant man imagines dangers that may not exist, but knowledge crowns the brave. Be brave, O man, divine work is you. It's a pleasure to follow the starry firmament and to leave the earth and its affected countries beneath, to ascend to the clouds, as God formed the human soul with three components. The Trinity soul of man also has difference and existence. It is invisible to the mortal eye, but participates in reasoning and harmony and possesses intelligence, insight, and strength, both here and there. There are two movements, one of the body, which is a horse, and one of the soul, which is the result of deliberate choice. He who ceases to move also ceases to live. The soul of man is threefold. It's divided into perception, which is the mind, logic, which breaks, and thought. This place that is imprisoned in the body is called the soul. But the most powerful part is called thinking. And the vulgar ones think they are inside them, as if they imagine the image reflected by a mirror to be inside them. But the most witty, knowing that this is not the case, is called the demon, which is like a silver string which supports and directs the auxiliary part of the soul. So these stars you see, imagine they are souls, all substances of which are immersed in bodies. There is a heavenly goodness proportional to every degree of virtue, and there are different degrees and sizes for souls according to the bright body they wear. Supreme happiness belongs only to the soul that has recovered from its highest union with the intelligence, with a capital I, the essence of which, by changing its nature, has become completely spiritual. It's necessary for the soul to rise to the knowledge of worldly truths and to find, as far as possible, the beginning and the end of all things for such a thing. And then, having reached this high degree of perfection, after coming to this unchanging space whose ethereal element is no longer subject to the downward movement of the generation, he can unite with his knowledge in the world all and reflect throughout. His existence is the undistinguished light, capital L, with which the being of beings, God himself, incessantly fills infinity. The soul, participating in thought, logic, and harmony, is not only the work of God, but part of God. It is not only made by him by creating him, because man is the son of God and has God his father, as Orpheus said, "You are a child of the earth and the starry sky." The soul of man is eternal. It is incorruptible because it never had a beginning, and it was with God from the beginning, before the heavens or the earth were created. The soul of man is uncreated because it moves on its own. It is constant motion. It's preceded the body in which it rests because it existed before the body existed. God did not make the soul younger than the body and was not next to the body. God certainly created the soul to be superior to the body, both in order of source and power. Just as the soul of man never had a beginning, but was with God from the beginning, so it can never, ever have an end. Its destination is the highest union with the deity, which is its original source. It is not possible for what is born in time to always exist, nor for what never had a beginning to have an end. But the soul that did not have a beginning exists in eternity. The soul of man is immortal. Beauty and music are the wings that lift it to the heavens. The magic of music, the ecstasy of love, the joy of charity are nothing but scattered notes from the agreement of the soul. The soul is immortal. When it leaves the body, it withdraws into the soul of the world, out of which he was, and which is in existence of the same nature as him. The purest part of the soul is the one that leaves the body, man himself. Man is nothing but a soul. Each of us is a soul, not a body that is only a possession of the soul. The body is the horse, the soul is the rider. As long as man lives, the body is the bond of the soul, and when he dies, the soul abandons, as we speak, the monument, a monument that bears his own reference because the soul bears its own inscription. While all bodies are vulnerable and divided in infinity, only the infinite God and the immortal soul can pass through the curtain, because nothing can stop them. As the soul is the result of God, it is pure and incorruptible. She has no passions and can never become unclean or corrupt. That is why she is incapable of sin and is not subject to punishment. It is a spark of divinity and spreads throughout the body like a tiny seed that may have been made to shine and bloom and grow, depending on the care given to it. The human soul shines on his face. The human soul, as it is among the spirits that always observe the divine essence, and those who are incapable of observing it can rise to one or sink into the other. The soul is man's greatest possession, because it is the true self, the ego, and it is his first and greatest interest. The care of the soul and its luminous body is the practice of virtue, in the kissing of the truth and in abstaining from all unclean things. If one truly believes that the soul is the only true self, it is impossible to mourn the passage of a god to pure ether. Isn't it written by a man to have become a god, an immortal god no longer mortal? Death is only physical and not mental, because the soul is immortal. Death is the separation of the soul from the body, the liberation of the soul from its prison, the redemption of the soul from all evil and from all calamities. And when after your mortal body has been deprived, you have reached the purest ether, you will be a god, immortal, incorruptible, and death will have no dominion over you. Because the souls of the righteous are in the hands of God, and death has no suffering for them. They will glow like crystal light rays and have great power. They have eternal peace. Such is the case with the righteous who save souls to the end, but not with the unrighteous who are separated from the soul before the end. Matter and form do not flow into each other because the matter of one substance does not accept the shape of the other without imprinting anything. When the soul departs from a human body, the body does not become bronze or iron, nor is it wool that comes out of a stone. There is a third principle that unites them, and that principle is God. Because the soul is connected to the body by the attraction of divine harmony, and if the guardian does not show signs of virtue but submits himself to corruption and decline, the body no longer becomes a similar abode for the holy soul, and the attraction which connects the soul with the body dissolves. And the soul is detached to a mortal life and leaves the soul of the world, but without individual identity or difference. There, a happier destiny awaits her. He who unjustly expels a wise man from the body provides him with a benefit from his injustice, because thus he is set free as if he were bound. The unhappy man with the sad soul will continue to live until his appointed end, but from then on it will be nothing but a body. When he dies after a long time, he leaves neither a monument nor a memory to engrave his earthly stay, because he is dead, indeed written off from the book of the living. He has gone into eternal oblivion as if he had never lived, because the soul of man himself and his only monument, and there is nothing that survives mortality. So what can compensate for the loss of immortality? The soul that emerges from mortal existence remains with the soul of the world, without an individual identity. until it is attracted again to spread to some earthly body, to one of the worlds, and continues the birth cycle until for a long time it bears the imprint of an individual identity, but the souls of the righteous go to God. This is by Kletsos Vasilis Plotinos. I've translated this from the Adrastika for you, so you can understand how very much it is similar to Christian theology. To thine own self be true, and of course there's nothing more valuable than the human soul, which goes back to God and is part of God. This is on the Adrastika. I'll leave a link below. Please leave your comments. Thank you. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.